Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. Appreciate everybody out there. We went to three shows a week during the summer, but we had some news come out about college sports. Thought it was important that we get in front of you guys and give you our thoughts on this new executive order by President Trump on what he signed and what it means, at least our interpretation on what it means. So we're going to break that down. Me and Fitz give you our opinions. Before we do, again, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments, and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. But before we do any of that, Fitz, it's been a minute. How are you doing?
I know. Back from vacations. Basically, I've been out of pocket since Big 12 media days. It's good to be back, settled in.
Absolutely.
But here's the kicker. I'm going to get settled in for football season, and then I got to fly to Ireland.
Aha.
It's going to throw everything off, Big B. I'm old. I don't adjust well. Couldn't we just maybe play it at K-State and we'll all talk in Irish accents and we'll be drunk, which isn't much different than a typical Farmageddon game.
I was going to say, it's just in a different place, in a different place, different continent, different country, all that good stuff. But let's get into this a little bit. So executive order comes out. President Donald Trump signs. First off, look, I don't know whether you like Donald Trump or whether you don't. I just thought the title of the executive order, saving college sports, I was like, hold on, man. Let's relax. I get why he did it. I understand why, but it was just a little bit too much for me. But
I kind of agree with that. I agree.
Yeah, when you get past that, let's kind of break down the brass tacks of this thing. First off, Fitz, to me, and again, my interpretation is he's trying to put a halt to the pay for play, everything getting out of control, and he's basically leaving it up to people. Hey, figure this out. We've got to stop this now before things get out of control. First off, that statement right there, before things get out of control, it's a little late for that because things are already out of control.
Truth.
So that's number one. Now, I do respect the fact that he's trying to do something because we've talked many times and many people have talked. Somebody's got to do something.
Right.
We can't just continue to let this go. I guess my first question to you is your interpretation of what he's trying to do. Do you think it's going to work?
Well, yeah. He's trying to solve the problem. But this doesn't do it. It doesn't even come close to doing it because it has no teeth to it.
No.
Executive orders, some of them are worth something, and a lot of them are, let's try to move in this direction. Like it's a prod from the president's office to say, that's called the Oval Office, I think, to push a topic along. And I think this is prodding Congress to do something.
Right.
Now, this is a really one-sided executive order in favor of the institutions.
Yes.
And not for the players. I'm not real comfortable with that. But then again, we also have to have some kind of guidance here. And normally I'm not hey, everyone needs to unionize kind of guy. But this is a case of it. And this is a case of the actual, if you want to call the NCAA institutions employers, we'll do it that because it clarifies it. The employers actually would benefit from you unionizing because then they could set some guidelines on with collective bargaining on how much money's going out the door and not just this, as even Trump said, Wild West.
Right.
Is going on right now. There is little to no value in the physical executive order, but he has us now talking about this topic in a different way. And that way is prodding the government to actually govern and offer guidance here because it has spun out of control. And,
Right.
and the courts have done that in most cases rightfully. Let's be clear about that. The NCAA was doing some things that just infringe on the rights of student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
That has been corrected. But the moment the NCAA sat in the corner and pouted, this thing just blew up on everyone. And the title of the executive order is right. We need to save college sports. It just doesn't do it.
Right.
But I think it emphasizes the effort that needs to be taken.
So, and you hit on something right at the very beginning when you said this is very university driven. It's one-sided with this executive order. And that's where I think, where I disagree with this. I appreciate what he's trying to do in trying to get Congress involved. We've said that Congress has to get involved, put something in place that makes sense. I 100% agree with that. But my problem is that you're trying to limit how much athletes can make. And for me, that's a huge no-no because we don't do that in any other thing in America. We don't limit and tell you, well, you can only make this amount of money.
Agreed.
We don't do that. So why are we doing it to them? And there's people out there, and I always think this is crazy, Fitz. There's people out there that really say, well, college athletes, they don't need to make anything. They shouldn't make $1 million. I'm like, well, why? Tell me, give me one good reason why. Because if the regular student just, had a website and Apple came to them and said, you know what? We want you to stay in school. We love what you're doing. We're going to slap Apple's name on this website and we're going to give you $1 million a year until you graduate. Nobody would say a thing. So why is it such a big deal that college athletes get this and people lose their minds over it? And I just don't understand that part of it. I take that back. I do understand because a lot of it comes from jealousy because God didn't give you the God-given ability to be able to do this. So a lot of it comes from that. But I just don't get it. It's like, they should be celebrated for their abilities. They should be celebrated, and we don't do that. It's almost like people are looking for ways to keep money out of kids' pockets. I don't get that, Fitz.
Well, it's kind of funny. This is so typical of universities and NCAA institutions, particularly power level ones. Basically, they're pleading for help because they can't control themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't live within a budget. If they want that shiny new quarterback for $2 million a year, and they've got 73 cents in their account, they're going to pay $2 million a year.
Right.
They can't contain themselves. And there is a mention of trying to keep college athletics away from just favoring the wealthy. The irony of Trump writing that is interesting. But it does, the system, if it's just spend, will favor those with the biggest boosters, donors. And I see what he's attempting to do, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a big, I don't follow all the salary caps and all that stuff in the NFL like you do because you have a Steelers site. But there's nothing that says if the Steelers wanted to pay Aaron Rodgers $70 million that they can't do it. They just have to stay under their overall cap.
Correct.
And that system is proven to work. I think that's where we need to go.
Yep.
And that's kind of what they were trying to create with this cumbersome House versus NCAA settlement that honestly sounded like a judge came up with these ideas and not someone in athletics. So yeah, let's hit the reset button and come on, Congress, do something. Or did you go on vacation for the summer? Is that what happened? Because it's supposed to be hot in Washington, D.C. and you used to not have air conditioning, so you all went home. Yeah. Get back to work. Come on, man. You got so much going on right now. Get back to work. And this is one of the items, maybe not a real important item to America as a nation, as you know, our sovereignty and security, but it impacts a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And it deserves some attention because it's kind of like, well, it isn't about national security, but it is about the culture of the nation and where we want to go with college athletics.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is, Fitz. I don't want to get into politics or political because that doesn't serve a purpose, in my opinion. Because
And I
people are
don't feel
going to
like
be.
this is overly political, Big B.
And I don't either. And
I
that's
feel
the
like
whole thing.
I feel like there's Trump haters that read that executive order, go, yeah, that makes some sense. And there's Trump fans that are like, what? Nah,
Mhm.
stay out of this, man. So I think this is kind of one of those rare incidents where it rises above, if I could speak, politics. But in many ways, anything Trump touches becomes political. So
It does. But like I said, I appreciate what he's trying to do. And somebody had to do something, and I think he's trying to step to the forefront. I don't like the fact that he's trying to be the reason that college athletics is safe, because again, it's college athletics, while it's being damaged, it's not ruining everything that's going on with college athletics. Because I can tell you this, in a month, the stadiums are going to be full and people are going to be watching in record numbers college football. Tell me again how it's being ruined. I'm just never going to believe that until people stop going and stop watching. But that's a different conversation for a different day. Having said all of this, the thing for me is they've got to come to an agreement here. You hit it on the head when you talked about the salary cap. Get to the salary cap. But there's another pushback to this, because people have pushed back on me and said, when I mentioned salary cap, they say, well, look at Major League Baseball. There's haves and have-nots. And you're right, there is. And they go, even though they have, they revenue sharing in baseball, you still have the Pittsburgh Pirates. You still have the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I go, and the Dodgers and the Yankees are always going to win because they spend more money, and that's just true. So, but it's always been like that in college athletics, Fitz. This is not different. This is not something that's just come up in the last 10 years, the haves and the have-nots. The difference to me, and I think a lot of people, is these schools were just paying people under the table.
yeah,
And that was 100% happening. And again, I'm under the effect everybody cheats. Everybody, whether you're giving somebody $100 handshake or $1,000 handshake, those handshakes were happening at every institution. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody was cheating. Whether you could cheat a lot or a little, it happened. Period. Okay. But this is not new. And so I'm going to ask you this. I'm just going to ask you straight up, because I'm starting to feel maybe we should just go back to that, Fitz. If we can't get this figured out, maybe we should just go back to paying guys under the table. Now, I know never will. I know that's fantasy land, because the courts have gotten involved and won't allow that to happen. Or it doesn't have to happen, I should say. Not allow it to happen, but it doesn't have to. But I almost feel like maybe we should just go back to that. Will everybody be happy with that if it went back to the old way? Because, again, people would still be getting paid. And there's nothing that anybody could do about it. And there wasn't this lawlessness that there is now. But I also think, and I know I'm long-winded here, but I think part of it is the transfer portal, because NIL and the transfer portal, they go hand in hand. I've always said you got to fix the transfer portal first. If you fix that first, the NIL stuff, that will go along with it. Because if you stop allowing people to go to 4 different schools in 4 years, you stop letting 30-year-olds play college football, for crying out loud. If you stop stuff like that, then NIL, things will start to change. But I think you guys fix the transfer portal first.
I agree with all that. And there is a thought that just if we stay on this course, the donors are going to burn out.
Yeah.
And it'll be at different times. I mean, if you got a billionaire rancher oil guy out in West Texas, he might last longer than the investment guy in the Midwest.
Correct.
Because probably the resources continue to flow in at a fast rate. So I kind of agree with that. And also, the destruction it could do. I mean, you literally, We're entering a phase here, and nobody's talking about this. Is we might have athletic departments become insolvent, and simply not able to pay their bills, and the universities aren't in a position to loan them more money. I mean, we just read a story about Iowa State having serious financial problems right now, because the spending is just continuing to go up, and if you want to compete, you got to escalate, and it's going to become the haves, and almost everyone else is the have-nots, is my
Correct.
fear. But we just need some kind of guidelines. Both sides need to get together, and the one problem is one side won't let the other side have a union to be able to talk as a single voice.
Yep.
And I have long opposed unions in college sports, and I have totally changed. There's not going to be any way to solve this without fair representation, and this executive order proves that. Fair representation of the student athlete side of the equation. We
Correct.
cannot ignore that. Ignoring that is exactly how we got here.
Yep.
That's exactly what the NCAA and these guys sitting in offices did before. They're just students that, they don't really count. No, in this world, let's put it this way. If you are really talented at something in the media, you can start up, let's say, a podcast. We'll call it the Brien Hanley Experience, and you can grow your own business now just based on you.
Mm-hmm.
You solely that. We've got to respect the idea that the marketplace has changed directly, and so much is personality driven. And what is your actual value? Who am I to say that a car dealership paying a player $2 million won't come back around to them when all the big boosters start buying cars from that place?
Right.
Now I'm going to say this. I just said this to the Kansas State fan base about an NIL deal. You should respect that. If a business is going to pay your athletes to represent them, you should probably support that business.
Absolutely.
And I don't see that model being talked about a lot. I don't. And that's something more fans need to be aware of. You better go support those people. If they have a legitimate business, go support that legitimate business. Because that's the only thing that's going to sustain this is the businesses actually finding value in having this quarterback, this point guard, this shot putter speak
right.
for them. Because it is about business at the end of the day.
Yeah. I totally agree with all of that. And it makes sense. And it would also make sense, you mentioned Kansas State, schools. I'm not saying Kansas State doesn't have money, but it doesn't have Ohio State money or the Texas money. It doesn't have that. So for NIL deals, it is going to make the fans have to be a part of that. And I know some fans get tricky. I'm the same way, Fitz. It's like, man, do I really want to give just money to some NIL? And do I trust them to deliver it and give it to the right people? Because I'll be quite frank with you, I don't, because you could give it to somebody and I can be like, why are we doing this? Why wouldn't we do that? So then what do I do in turn? I just don't give anything. But if it's a burger joint or a car dealership or an insurance company that I currently use, oh, you know what? Yeah, they do have good car insurance or homeowners insurance. I will use them and their help and support that. You know what? That was a really good hamburger. I will give money. I will go there and send my friends there. I think that for smaller market teams or middle of the road to smaller market teams are going to have to look at that aspect of it and doing it that way because it's, again, people want to support. And even if you don't make a lot of money, whatever money that you could scrape up, even if it's $5 a month, you'd be willing to do that to help your team. We're fanatics. We care. But we also want to make sure it's going to the right place because, look, if I'm scraping up this $5, I want to make sure you do it right. And quite frankly, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, people just don't trust that it's going to the right places. They'd rather support a business. I just find that it's kind of the American way, Fitz, to be honest with you. People are willing to support business, especially mom and pop, locally owned type of businesses, things of that nature. I mean, they are willing to do that, want to do that, and especially if you're helping a kid out. But I think that's where we got to go with it, with that aspect of it. I think it didn't. I mean, they kind of touched on the transfer portal a little bit in the executive order. I just think that's got to be the top priority. I really do. You got to put the strengths on it. You got to do the transfer portal, and you got to put an age restriction. I'm sorry, and I don't know the laws. I'm not a lawyer. Maybe you can't do that, but you can't be letting guys play 6 and 7 years of college athletics. I'm sorry you got hurt. I apologize. But you know what? We always talk about it. Injuries are a part of athletics. They're a part of sports. And sometimes that will keep you from playing sports. It's just the way it is. You blame somebody, blame God. They're the one God is in charge. If he's the one who got you hurt, blame God if that's who you want to blame. But you can't just, he got hurt 3 years in a row and he's 30. We're going to let him keep playing. But what? Come on, man. I mean, I just saw that the other day. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I thought all this was going to be over with COVID. Well, he went and played baseball first. Well, then he made his choice. He could have played college football out of high school, but he chose baseball. It didn't work out. Oh, by the way, I guarantee that if he was still playing or Major League Baseball, there's no chance that he would say, you know what, Fitz, I got this Major League Baseball salary. I'm in the majors. I just want to play college football. I'm going to give all this up. I just want to go play college football. No. But there's consequences, good and bad, to everything you do. And so I think that transfer portal has to get fixed first,
right,
with an age limit, and then NIL will go along with it.
I think you hit on a great point. Is what they really need from Congress in so many ways is cleaning up some of the things that allow college athletics to be college athletics.
Mm-hmm.
Trump did mention this, I believe, that college sports is a unique American thing.
Yes.
But what makes it great is, and it evolved. I mean, before World War II, college sports were, here's the kids from Kansas that are playing basketball for Kansas State. It was like high school sports, Oh, you came to Kansas State. You want to play basketball? Let's go.
Right.
World War II changed everything. The GIs came back and, let's recruit those guys because now they're going to college and they're grown ass men.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, I've said this before, that's when the blue bloods of college football were set. All
Correct.
of those schools let those guys come in and play, and they just started kicking everyone's ass. So what's made college athletics great is they did eventually set limitations on how old you are and how many years you have to compete from the start of your college journey. And that's the loophole here is baseball players never went to college. They just went to go play baseball.
Right.
And then they fall back at age 30 and say, I'm going to start college now. I do agree with you. They got to address that, but it's these fringe topics that don't seem that important that have to get cleaned up.
Yep.
Such as eligibility. How many years do you have? I'm reading about now. All of a sudden, the NCAA is winning all these eligibility cases when athletes are throwing injunctions and they're trying to get their 6th or 7th year, or maybe my D2 year didn't really count, my JUCO year didn't count. The courts have muddied all this up, and now the NCAA's got to keep fighting all these little fights. Clear all this nonsense up.
Right.
There's so much flack up right now. We can't get to the main course of what we're trying to do. And once we clean all that up, I think we'll have a better way to handle it. But right now there's so many fringe issues, Big B. It's just frustrating. And I don't want to lose the aspect of college sports being college students.
Mm-hmm.
We're real close to that. We might be doing that right now. If schools are willing to pay players $2 million a year, they're probably willing to say, okay, this basket weaving class is going to work great for you.
Yeah.
And not really be student athletes. I get it. I also think there shouldn't be limitations on going pro. Why should we play this game that the NBA won't let these freshmen in? They have to come to college, and then they're going to get, a couple $1 million a year. And they don't have to even worry about class in the second semester because if they'll be ruled ineligible and they're in the league.
Right.
Doesn't matter to them. So they have to play pretend college for one semester. Come on, let's just stop this. That's nonsense. Let's say, hey, you can go be a professional athlete. I like what baseball does. Go be a professional athlete or come to college for at least 3 years.
Correct.
So you can get most of your degree in. And you know what? It can't be long before. Maybe it's happened. We just don't hear about it. It hasn't hit the headlines. Or a college baseball player who's been there a year says, now I want to go pro. Why can't I? I see the courts siding with the player there. So without Congress saying this is what we've got. These are the rules now. None of this is going to hold up in courts. We need that guidance first. All those fringe issues need to be solved and sewn up and cured before we can tackle the big issue here.
No, absolutely. Because little things always add up to big things. What everybody says in life. You got to handle the little things, because if you don't, it turns into a big thing. And that's one of those things. But yeah, I did that whole eligibility thing. I mean, I know why the NBA did. I mean, it was pretty simple. They got tired of their league got bad because they kept getting these high school kids and kept drafting these high school kids that couldn't play. And then they were like, well, hold on a second. You got to go to college. We got to stop having these high school kids because couldn't go back to college. And they was technically almost ruining lives because, okay, well, I can't play in the NBA. I'm not good enough. I can't go to college. Now what do I do? And couldn't figure stuff like that out. And it's like, so I get why the NBA did it. I love the NFL. Look, most 18-year-olds aren't ready to play against a 33-year-old grown man. Sorry, you're just not physically able to do it. I get it. Baseball, great. I mean, you mentioned it. Great rule. You either come play now or you got to wait 3 years. Totally get it. College has got to get in there somewhere, but I mean, you can turn pro. Again, it's amateur athletics, but I love what Jay Billis has said. You got to go to class. You make people sign contracts. You know, you want this money. We are 100% willing to give you this money, but you have to go to class. You got to be eligible. You can't get arrested. I go, because if any of that happens, not only is your contract null and void, you got to pay us back. I mean, start doing that. That's an easy thing to do, but the problem that we've talked about before, though, Fitz, you got to get all the universities on board, because all the universities aren't going to want to do that. They're going to want to skate and this and that. It's like, no, come on, guys. We all have to be on board with this, okay? Even if there's not a salary cap, but we all have to be in agreement that everybody's got to sign a contract, and I just don't think, it's tough enough to get 10 people in a room to agree. Now you're talking 130 for Division I football, 330 Division I basketball, somewhere in that range. It's tough to get all those people on board, but they're going to have to, Fitz. They're going to have to agree on how to do it. But if Congress comes in and puts all this in play, then I think that's just the way it has to be, and we go from there.
I think student athletes need to be treated, honestly, how our arrangement is. You're contract labor. You're not technically an employee of my company, but we have a financial arrangement, and you're paid to do something. And that's what's essentially what an athlete would be.
Yes.
I don't think you really need employees per se, but you need the contract part of that, whether, it's that, speaking of which, that it needs to be written down and everything taken care of. Yeah, I'm all in on that. And I agree with you. And you know what? If a kid tells you, well, your contract says the deal is null and void if I'm arrested, this school, and we'll just say the SEC, doesn't have that. If a student athlete is worried about that, you don't want that student athlete.
No, not at all.
This gets back to where I think a lot of schools are screwing up, is if this student athlete is saying, well, I want $4 million, I'm going to go to the school that gives me $4 million. If that's the only thing they're interested in, he's not the right guy.
You wouldn't think.
He's not going to come play for your institution. He's playing for himself.
Correct.
So bottom line, Big B, is how about this, athletic directors and any kind of board that oversees athletic departments? Start running a damn business. Start worrying about your budget. You seem to pound your chest with, look how much we spend on college athletics, while hiding the amount you lose on
Right.
college athletics. Quit giving coaches these absurd contracts that when they fail, you can't afford to buy them out, so they get to fail more.
Yeah.
We got to stop this.
Yes.
Athletic directors, you're not the head of the athletic department in terms of you get to buy basketballs and watch them play. You're running a major business. Do so. Do that. And that's one of the things I've actually enjoyed about covering Kansas State athletics is they do that. They've done that for a number of years. Once, of all people, John Curry came in and he stabilized the finances. And since then, it's been run like a business. And that's the way it should be. Don't quit losing money. Quit. In fact, there was a period, and I don't know if they're still doing it, K-State athletics was giving money to the university, not the other way.
Right.
College athletics needs to mend itself before worrying about all this. You got to worry about it now, but you've got stuff, folks, you can do on your own. Take care of your house, your business. Get it financially solvent. The thing I didn't really like about this is that it prevents that in this executive order. You can't drop sports. You got to offer this. If you're over 125 million, you got to add scholarships.
Yeah.
You got too in the weeds there for me.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing here is, let's be blunt. Athletic directors are just big boosters that hand out big contracts and spend too much money and have no fiscal responsibility until it's too late and they're insolvent, basically. So let's work on that too. Everyone can do better. And that's in this equation.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. We're going to shut it down right there, people. Thank you, everybody. Again, as always, football is getting close. It is getting closer. So right around the corner. Appreciate everybody being in here. Thank you guys. As always, we will talk to you next week. You guys have a good one.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.